Brought to you by Penguin. Ink Ribbon Red by Alex Pavesi. Read by Dino Fetcher. Dedicated to Bailey, one of the greatest cats who died of lymphoma while this book was being written, and his brother Lewis, who turned 16 a few months before it was finished. Can I have my chair back, Lewis? Author's note. The major events of this novel take place during the late May bank holiday weekend, the year 1999. For the sake of completeness, the stories written by the characters over the course of that weekend have been included in the text at appropriate points. Part 1. Death. Monday, the 31st of May, 1999. The scenic route. I don't want you to think I'm a bad person. The weekend had begun with hope, but would end in horror, like every weekend. Anatole was looking sideways at Yannicka, waiting for her to respond. The steering wheel started to drift in her direction. They heard the crunch and tearing of nettles under the tyres, felt the front left wheel scrape the edge of the verge. Then Anatole brought his eyes back to the road. He had never been a very competent driver. He shrugged off the mistake, gave the steering wheel a reflexive wiggle, and carried on speaking. It's just that I haven't been feeling like myself lately. You see what I mean? I'm all over the place. Yannicka nodded diplomatically, but didn't answer. She was watching the passing countryside through the window beside her, a view of yellow fields and faded hills under an unmarked white sky. Her hands clenched round the sleeves of her cardigan. She hadn't said a single word since they'd got into the car. She thought it was more in character to keep quiet. Everything feels like a dream, said Anatole. He parted the fingers of his right hand and stared at the road through the gaps between the knuckles. A thick line of dirt capped each fingernail. When somebody close to you dies, nothing seems real. It's too much change to take in all at once. It makes everything feel like a dream, do you understand? It was unusually cold for the last day of May, the day after Anatole's 30th birthday. A heavy, late-morning mist lay on the landscape. Every blade of grass looked haunted. But if nothing's real, then nothing matters. You lose your judgment about right and wrong. You do things you wouldn't normally do, say things you wouldn't normally say. If I've been acting strange this weekend, then that's why. It was Monday morning, the bank holiday. Yannicka had spent the long weekend at Anatole's house with the rest of their friends. Now he was taking her to the station so she could catch the train home. The car was a vintage forest green convertible. Its bruised vinyl top had a tear down one side. The hole had been patched with layers of duct tape, but the cold air still managed to find its way inside. I'm probably not explaining myself very well. Anatole continued talking as he slowed down and signalled to turn off the main road onto a narrow byway where there were no white lines on the tarmac. He took his hands from the wheel and waited for a gap in the oncoming traffic. But grief is a shapeshifter. It manifests differently from one day to the next. Some days it's guilt, some days it's regret, some days it's just sadness, and some days it's more like shock. Anatole's father had died unexpectedly 5 weeks earlier. I'm not trying to make excuses. I'm sorry if I seemed rude or short-tempered yesterday. But you can't help but lose your perspective on things when your mood keeps shifting like that. You'll understand this one day, when you've lost someone close to you, Yannicka. Cars streamed past them in stark primary colours. Yannicka looked beyond Anatole to their right. The road they were turning into seemed to lead nowhere. No signpost announced its destination, and there was nothing to be seen at the end of it. Just the feathery hedges that bordered the pitted road surface, pinched together by perspective. Anatole, said Yannicka, speaking at last. Where are we going? Grief, said Anatole with a surge of enthusiasm. Grief is an awkward portmanteau of guilt, regret and disbelief, because those are its 3 main ingredients. Where are we going? Asked Yannicka again. There was a sudden short gap in the traffic. Anatole accelerated into it, turning the wheel too late. The rattling convertible crossed over the opposite lane but missed the turning and ploughed into a patch of cow parsley. Anatole swore and put the vehicle in reverse. They jolted backwards into the path of an oncoming car, then forwards again, slowing to a crawl as they straightened out. The car...
Sample complete. Ready to continue?